Hey guys, Adrian here, and welcome back to the channel on Patreon. I've got a new behind-the-scenes exclusive for you guys here, and it's basically a discussion about overhyping games and overhyping MMOs, the causes and effects about that, or about doing that. This entire hyping up a game phenomenon, even before it released. And I've had this chat with a fellow MMORPG writer, and we had a really good discussion about this because I've been around. I think over the last 10 years for very big games that were launching, and seeing how the media portray this game as the next big thing, and then that sort of spreads via word of mouth and everything, and how that affected the game. And my colleague, he's been around for a lot longer, 20 years plus, so he's pretty much worked in the industry, and he's seen it all happen. So we had a great chat, and I thought I was going to bring that chat to you guys and talk about that a little bit. So first things first, hyping a game. This is it's basically PR 101. You'd see this even before the height of gaming with products and TV and just all other forms of services. When something's about to launch, there's obviously going to be something coming out in the newspapers or the magazines saying, "Oh, prepare for this thing, it's going to be good," or this is going to be a game changer or whatever. For games, it's no different, and since the very dawn of gaming media, how it used to work, before the internet became such a thing, was game studios and developers would reach out to the best avenues to get that news out. Okay, we're going to be launching this game. Let's have a full-depth interview, a 2-page magazine spread about this game. We'll talk about the features. We'll talk about that kind of thing, and then readers would read that on the next cycle or issue. So there is a clear gap between when news of this particular game that's coming out has said what it needed to say about the features, and then the wait, and then when the issue of the magazine comes out, players will read that. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I'm definitely going to buy this game. That could be like a month cycle, because in the editorial world back then, things didn't travel as fast as things are traveling today. So overhyping a game, causes and effect. I think one of the biggest causes here, for stuff that we see, like what's happening right now with Bless Online, and then I think a couple of years ago you got games like No Man's Sky. I'm sure you guys have heard of No Man's Sky, and then even before that, The Elder Scrolls Online and all the other big games that were hyped up. Destiny was one of them. So one of the causes here is definitely technology. It has to be technology. Technology with regard to how the internet has come and changed our lives. It's changed my life. I'm sure it's changed yours too. Information travels so fast. Speed of light. Anything a developer or studio says about its game, within 1 minute, that news is up on YouTube. It's up on Twitter, Facebook, and some of these gaming media sites. We work around the clock sometimes. I work 24-hour shifts in case the news breaks. I send that news to my editor immediately. That's how we roll these days, because with the internet and with how publishing works online, it's all about revenue, and it's all about clicks and views and likes and ad revenue. So the emphasis now for the publishing side is to try and get this piece of news out there as fast as possible. And what that does for the games themselves is, if something is incorrect or if something is said in moderation, some of these editors and publishers and YouTubers and all these people will take that in context but blow it out of proportions. And then, because internet is so instantaneous, people take that information, may have interpreted wrongly or excessively, exaggeratedly, and then via word of mouth, no longer word of mouth, via shares and pasting it in your Facebook group or in your WhatsApp chat group, or just things like that, it just spreads like wildfire. So developers have very little time to control the flow of information that goes out to the media, to content creators, and they themselves have to rectify that by keep on publishing news about the game. That's the technical side of overhyping games, and how and why we see that spread into what it is today. As for the effects of overhyping a game, that largely comes down to the developers themselves. Have they said too much? Have they promised too much? Can they deliver on what their game is supposed to deliver? That's all down to the developers, and more often than not, especially when it's a game that's going into early access, that's a problem, because a lot of people, especially the younger generation, I think they can't grasp the concept of an early access or an alpha game or a game that's still in development. Their mindset is basically, I have now purchased this game and I want to play the full features. I want to play it now. I don't expect to see bugs and fixes and all that. You know, us older heads that have been around for a while, we know what to expect, we know what's coming, and we know that to see a game develop from the released article into the finished article is going to take some process. It's going to take some time. So a generational thing may also play a part. It's definitely, I would think, the younger generation have a bigger role to play in overhyping games, because of how technology favors the young, as they say it, and us in the middle generation and the older generation, we're still coming to terms with how these things work. And look, let's go back to No Man's Sky. That game was just talked about so much in the gaming industry as going to be a game changer. Star Citizen was something similar. You know, we got open world, sandbox, space exploration, great progression, full depth of exploration in space. You discover new planets, you start colonies, you know, that kind of thing, and it's still in development, Star Citizen. And No Man's Sky was going to be the one that was going to challenge Star Citizen. Look, we've got a game here that's coming out way before Star Citizen, and it's going to do some of the things that Star Citizen can do. In addition to that, we're going to have, you know, players play together and everything, and they even, the developers behind No Man's Sky even had a big conference where they showed off things and trailers and stuff, which eventually did not make it into the game on day one. But all that stuff, all that publicity and media stuff was publicized so much that that's what people expected, and that's one of the causes and effects of, you know, overhyping a game. That's what happens. And then when things doesn't turn out the way it was said it was going to be, everybody's going to have this backlash episode where they're going to be calling out the game and things like that. That cycle is not going to change. I've seen it happen now for a few games. The Elder Scrolls was another one, big title. Of course, Elder Scrolls is one of the best RPGs in the world today, and to have an MMORPG based on the Elder Scrolls was such a big thing. The beta came out, and people who didn't get into the beta were, you know, relying on media sources and streamers and YouTubers to see what the game is all about. And for the most part, what was said on those videos was, at the time, I wasn't a YouTuber yet, so I was one of those people who was hyped about Elder Scrolls Online, but had to watch from the outside, watch other people play the game and see the game. And unfortunately, it was hyped to an extent where once the game was released in the first week, everybody said, this is not the Elder Scrolls. This is not the quintessential Elder Scrolls. And that killed it for me. I watched Angry Joe's review, and he was so critical, fair, but critical. And I'm like, yeah, all this crap, man. I wasted like 2-3 weeks thinking about saving up money to play Elder Scrolls Online, because at the time, it was going to be a subscription-only game. I had no idea I was going to go buy to play whatsoever in a year. So I thought, oh, you know what? Based on all this stuff, it's not worth it. I'm just going to, you know, forget about that, you know. That's one other thing about overhyping games. You have to rely on that. Now, on the content creator side of things, now that I'm in the business of content creation, I see it from a whole different angle, because I'm not innocent in all this overhyping, especially about Bless. So let's bring Bless into the picture. I heard about Bless since last year, and I talked about it in my December, you know, most anticipated or whatever, big news for 2017. It's definitely Bless. And my introduction to Bless was because of friends and colleagues that have been talking about it, you know, about, oh, this is going to be a BDO killer or whatever, and that's the words they use. And anytime I hear that, I know, oh god, this is going to be overhyped to death. And then a quick glance around Facebook, you know, you got other channels that you know, I don't watch a lot, but I always see them pop up in my recommendation, MMO Byte, all these other guys, MMO, well, I forgot the channel name, but they all talk about the next best MMO, this MMO, that MMO. These are all hypey type videos that are, I wouldn't say part of the problem, but it's the root cause as well, because as far as the younger generation of MMO players, they consume these kind of things, and that's what they hear, that's what they expect. Oh, this guy say it, it must be the next big thing, you know. Like I said, wiser heads will know how to absorb information and make an informed decision when they see more of the game, or, you know, after waiting for a week. But at times, we too fall into that trap. We fall into that cycle of, yeah, this hype is really getting to me. I just want to jump in and check it out. I've fallen for it. Even as a content creator, I've fallen for it. Wild West Online is a great example. Big cowboy open world MMO, going to be the next Red Dead Redemption, which I love. And then when I bought it, I paid 30 USD, guys. That's $100 in my currency. That's a lot of money for an early access game. I jumped in. I was so disappointed, you know. That's the last time I decided I'm not gonna get burned anymore for any personal indulgence. So everything on my channel, even Bless Online, I knew my end game is the review to help players like me, or previously like me, where I didn't know if I should believe the hype or not, get informed via, you know, unbiased and impartial viewpoints. So that's why I decided to go with Bless, and in the future, any MMO like that, I will pay the money and do the review so that other people that are thinking about jumping in will have better information that way, without believing the hype, making so much hype about this, and then when the game comes out, oh, it sucks, why I've gone back to this game. That, the content creation cycle in YouTube, that is part of the problem. I am not innocent. If you see the amount of Blessed videos I made over the last 2 weeks, I am not innocent in all of this. So don't think that I'm slagging off other people, you know, and I'm washing my hands clean. No, I am guilty as well. And the thing is, that's how hyping works, really. You just fall for it. And even though other people's intentions may be good, like Bless has released all this news, and I'm trying to inform players about the news, and then share my opinions about why I'm excited for Bless, or why I'm excited to check out Bless. While the intentions may be good, that is your essence of overhyping a game. And that's just for gaming in general. If we go out and we look at, you know, other forms of media, let's say the movie industry, my God, for those of you that follow gaming sites like GameSpot or IGN, if you can even call them game media anymore, because they cover so much of entertainment and lifestyle, like movies, for example. I'll give you an example. Black Panther for IGN, even before, a week before the movie came out globally, IGN already said that Black Panther was going to be the highest grossing Marvel movie of all time. That is hyping. That is overhyping something that hasn't even been released and absorbed by people in the community. While it turned out to be true, Black Panther did make a lot of money. That entire culture of spreading that sort of excitement and hype and big records or whatever before something even hits is part of the problem. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong, because there's definite reasons why IGN do that. I know that because in the industry, Marvel could have approached IGN and said, hey, help us push this promotion, we'll give you $1 million, or that kind of thing. There's got to be some sort of a mutual agreement somewhere. You never know, and that's nothing wrong with that, because that is how businesses and sites like IGN, which have a lot of people in their staff, they need to get paid. That's how they run the site. That's their money maker. They have to do that. So that's one area that I've already talked about. In terms of MMOs, like, I'm just gonna wrap up this overhyping thing. The next one in our MMO space, Ashes of Creation. I was around early last year, when all of a sudden Ashes did their Kickstarter, and overnight, all right, $3 million US. They just smashed their Kickstarter, because before the Kickstarter for Ashes of Creation got announced, they invited some of the big MMO YouTubers to do an alpha run, and everybody was watching and talking. One of the MMORPG.com, another MMO news site, was into it as well, and they talked about it in depth. And to be fair to Intrepid Studios, the developers of Ashes of Creation, they didn't say too much, they just said enough. And the good thing about that is they said the right things. Why they're creating this MMO, what is wrong with the MMO genre at the moment, and how they want their MMO to be different and offer something different in comparison to what's out there already. For everyone, target audience wise, for everyone that has a burnout with today's lineup of MMOs, that sounds like gold, that sounds like honey, that sounds like music, and immediately that gravitates, and all the other people that were covering the game were practically saying it line for line, this is going to be the future of MMOs, or this is going to be something so fresh and so new. And because there was so little gameplay, so little news about it, because the Kickstarter hadn't started, development hasn't even gone past Alpha 1 or whatever, everybody bought into the idea. And $3 million on day one of a Kickstarter just shows you what overhyping a game can do on the positive side of things. And here we are 1.5 years later, and Ashes is still slowly chipping away at it, not giving away too much information, but giving just enough prior to having one of their betas or whatever, or alphas, just to keep people interested and informed. And I think that is one of the ways that overhyping a game could be done right. But let's not you know, let's make no mistake about this. If Ashes come out and it does have a lot of issues, you will see the same thing that happened to ESO. You'll see the same thing happen in No Man's Sky, and you'll see the same thing happen in Blast. People will start bashing on the game as fast as the hype traveled. That's the generation. That's the times that we live in today. How do we fix this? We can't. I don't think so. It's just so embedded in our gaming culture, movie culture, entertainment, Hollywood culture. It's just so embedded in that I think it's part of the norm now. So every time a new, game or whatever comes out, the community is always going to go jump to that, and just we're all excited and hyped for something new. That's how it is. I don't think it's going to change. But there's definitely some things that I think on both developer side and media side that we can do to limit any sort of like potential damage control or stuff like that, because in the end, stuff like hype could really make or break a game. It really, really could. I mean, there have been success stories where a game was overhyped, turned out terrible, and then fixed itself to become one of the best games today. And there's a few that I can name off the top of my head, but far and few. Those cases, far and few. So that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about, because this was a great discussion. I just want to share it with you guys. So what do you guys think? Like, what do you guys think of overhyping games in general? Have you guys fallen for an overhyped game and then you paid the full money and then you realize, yep, I'm never gonna fall for the hype again? Has that ever happened to you guys in the past, or have happened, like for Blast Online, for example? If you've watched me play on day one and you bought it because I was playing it, I mean, that is also you could consider that a hyping thing. But as I said, I'm there to review the game, and it is a 1-month process, so people have probably bought the game based on seeing me play, which I don't recommend because I'm not done with the review. But yeah, feel free to share your thoughts about hyping in general, overhyping games, movies, whatever. I love to hear what you guys think, and I will now go work on more videos for you guys on Patreon and on YouTube. So the weekend is coming. I hope you guys have had a great week so far. If not, cheer up. You're going to be doing lots of gaming this weekend. I will catch you guys soon. Later, guys.